Well, a very bright, sunny morning and Happy New Year to all of you on the first day of the year and the resummation of the Tour de Ski. And we've already had 2 legs out in Toblach. We've moved to Switzerland, Val Müstair hosting a sprint event. We haven't been here for a couple of years. Always a well-supported event. It's a great course. Spectators get to see as much as they like. And in conditions like this, Mike, the temptation is to put your own skis on and go for a wander up the valley.
Oh, isn't Switzerland beautiful? The blue skies, the horns. And it wasn't a big journey for the athletes, just what, 3 hours the drive from Toblach down to Val Müstair, not far from St. Moritz down here, this part of Switzerland. And I think, Patrick, this must be the smallest town stroke village that the Tour comes to. In terms of population, very small valley.
Of course, the home to Dario Colonia, who has been the #1 Swiss competitor for a decade now. Sensational when it comes to the big occasion. He is the man who knows how to win a 15-kilometer Olympic event. And Dario Colonia, of course, playing a major role in getting this event to Val Müstair. Altitude is a factor here, so that helps those who live and train over 1,000 meters. Not so good for the Scandinavians, although they do have glaciers they can train on. Altitude training, Mike, always beneficial if you get it right. If you get it wrong, it can destroy your whole season.
Very much. It's so easy when you're pushing your body hard, even here at, what, 1,400 meters. Can have an effect with overtraining if you are doing too much at these heights.
That was an amazing run of you here in the qualification. How tough is the track?
It's very tough. It's very hard, especially for the legs. You have always to work also in the downhill, and that's very hard.
Okay, but you have done very well. Do you know the track, or what's the spirit for you, your motivation?
Yeah, I like the track here. I like the race here. 2 years ago, I had very good races here, and yeah, I think I like it.
You've done very well. Congratulations, and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Nadine Feindrich, who is safely through.
The track is very hard, but the Val Müstair is very good, very beautiful with the sun today. Yeah.
And the crowd was cheering for you, so we wish you best of luck for the further race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Richard Houvet, Clément Paris of France didn't make it through, although the French have good representation in the top 30 of the men's event. And as always, we start with the quarter-final of the women's. This is something, in this day and age, Mike, I see absolutely no reason why that shouldn't be switched around. Particularly as the men get the short straw. That shortened gap between the quarters and the semi-finals plays a significant role in the men's event.
Yeah, just looking at another thing today, I think the strong wind will play a strong tactical part in this race today.
Welcome back to Val Müstair. There you see the weather conditions, -1. That's going to get warmer as the sun comes high over the Alps. The wind really the main feature. You saw the spindrift flying down the hill, and positioning is going to be all important in the early stages of the sprint.
It is tactical up into the wind. This was the draw earlier where in terms of how you finish the race, you could select the groups, 5 groups. Of course, the lower numbers don't get an option.
Yeah, 2, 3 and 4 in qualification in the women's, all going for heat #1. And Stina Nielsen, who had the first choice, has gone for heat #2. Interesting move from her. Just looking at the groups, Mike, heat 4 looks to be the one where it's going to be easiest to come through.
Yes, Bibs 11 to 23. The last group as well, only Wijnar, who's finished 7th, the rest 17th to 24. We certainly wouldn't expect lucky losers or those with who haven't made the top 2 but have the best at times will go into the semi-finals.
Yeah, Klæbo of Norway, the fastest qualifier in the men's event earlier on. Took a little bit of time to get the start order sorted for that. Let's have a look at the start sheet for the first of the women's quarterfinals. Østberg is there, Feindrich, Caldwell, quite a high-powered group. Palmer-Koski taking her chance in there with them as well. Maybe feeling that if she can get through this as a lucky loser, she's in a very good position later on. Palmer-Koski lying 5th in the Tour standings at the moment, so she'll be hoping to better or improve her result last year. Østberg 2nd in the Tour de Ski last year to Heidi Weng. She's in a strong position. Looked as though she was going to win the 10K 2 days ago. Didn't quite turn out that way, with the Russians all on very good form. But Østberg must be amongst the favourites. Number 4 is Sophie Caldwell, the Americans, doing well in the sprints this year, constantly getting 3 qualified. Now we'll see what Caldwell can do. So Østberg, Feindrich, Caldwell, Palmer-Koski, Fabian wearing 28, Melander of Sweden wearing 29, and the Norwegian suit of Østberg taking an early lead.
It's going to be interesting. The wind is coming down into their faces here. I thought this was going to be a little more tactical, but clearly some of the athletes not wanting to go up to the front, especially I think Sophie Caldwell just went out so slow, did not want to lead up here. She may well lead the next time round.
It's a tough start, isn't it, Mike? The climb gradually gets steeper, and then you hit this wall at the end of it. Not forgetting, you've got to go twice round. And actually, that wall has been made even steeper than in previous years.
It has. That is, I think that's as steep as we get in the sprints. You're still working up here to 40, 50 seconds. And then this recovery, yes, you get the first section where it's 10 seconds, 8 seconds. Little drop-off there as well, added this year.
It's hardly a bold drop-off. I think the Alpine skiers might laugh at that, but a good opportunity to get some advertising in. Now, down this sharp right-hander is important. Carry speed round here, absolutely essential as you head back down towards the bottom of the course. And now they put in some rollers as well. Work those skis. That will tire the legs. And already we've got a follow. Feindrich, who should have known better, taking a long, long time to recover. She'll be mortified by that performance. If there was one athlete who should not have taken a tumble on the camel humps, it was Feindrich.
Well, that's such a pity. She was 21st here 2 years ago, the last time the sprint competition came here to Valmustère.
Yeah, and she just missed out on the semi-finals in the first sprint in this year's Tour de Ski. But Feindrich is going to have to work exceptionally hard to get back into contention. I thought at one stage she was going to recover. It's a lot harder to get back up on a pair of cross-country skis than it is on Alpine when you're sitting on the back of the ski.
Yeah, when you're falling back, and Feindrich took so long. There she is, no chance of closing this gap. Sadly, she will not be going through to the semi-finals.
So Østberg and Caldwell out front. They're in a comfortable position now. Maybe that's what Østberg wanted to do. Palmer-Koski is going to have to step it up if she wants to go through as a lucky loser. This is the sort of part of the course where she can make gains. And it's so steep, Mike, that come the final, people are going to be crawling up that climb.
And I think the other aspect, we heard so many of the athletes saying this is an incredibly tough course, and I think with the camel bumps, the tight cornering, you get no period of rest. Yes, your lungs are recovering, you're getting the oxygen in, but even here, you're having to load your legs on this bend. And look how careful they're playing, very safe to get down this descent. Then it switches back to the right, and again, no leg recovery. That's why the second lap is super loading the muscles.
Østberg currently lying 3rd in the Tour standings. Nepreva, the new leader after her victory in the 10-kilometre, but Østberg's in a very, very good position. I think she'll fancy her chances, especially with last year's winner struggling. Heidi Weng has actually qualified for the knockout phases today, but she is not as convincing as she was last year. So no need for an all-out sprint from Østberg. Does it make any difference if she wins this? Not really.
She's taken all the work, Patrick, and so we've often seen by taking a lot of the early work or to get through to the finals, you suffer in the finals. I'm quite sure she's going to make it through to the final.
Well, slightly surprised to see Østberg having to look over the shoulder. And slightly surprised to see her working so hard down the home straight. she could have cruised home and been in a comfortable position. 3:35 and 3:43, the two lucky losers at the moment. They will change, no doubt about it. 3:43 just won't be quick enough. Fastest qualifying time earlier on today, 3:30.52 from none other than Stina Nielsen. What did she do wrong there?
She was sitting back. I didn't quite see all of it, but she tried. She was on her right-hand side, and the weight was slightly back over the first bump. And there's no way back from that. She'll be embarrassed. She'll be disappointed.
Yeah, the fans will be disappointed as well. Feindrich had a good chance getting through to the semi-finals. Not now. 3:32.67, the winning time from Usberg. She sets the mark. And we have one Stina Nielsen going heat number 2. Nielsen, 10th in the Tour standings. She's number 1 in the sprint standings for the year so far after 4 events. And, of course, she won the opening sprint in Toblach at the start of the Tour. Hot favourite to win today. As I said, 3:30.52, her winning time in the qualification. The next best, over a second slower.
Significant on this course. What's Stina Nielsen going to do? Is she going to try and lead out like Usberg, or lead all the way like Usberg? I don't think so.
Yeah, she said she'd do 4 stages of the Tour this year, or was it 4 days? Is she going to pull out after today? That would be a shame. But the Alpe d'Huez really doesn't do her hopes of getting the Sprint World Cup trophy at the end of the year much good.
No, the whole Tour saving her energy probably for the World Championships.
So Nielsen of Sweden wearing 1, 5 is Ureps of Slovenia, Bjornsson of USA in 6, Jakobsen wearing 13, 26 is Sadova of Russia, who's 7th in the Tour standings, and then number 30, Sandra Ringwald, right over on the far side in the German colours. And Sandra Ringwald, the slowest qualifier to make it through. She was some 14 seconds slower than Stina Nielsen. That is a massive margin. Was she saving herself? We'll find out.
We'll find out. I don't think so. Interesting as well, Sedova in Toblach just, a couple of days ago in the sprint, she ranked 60th in the qualifying, so she's done very well to move into 26th today. And of course, that's on the back of the 10-kilometer free, where she put herself on the podium.
Yeah, the Russians certainly making big gains between mid-December and the beginning of January. And Stina Nielsen sitting right at the back. I wonder what's going on here. I don't think it's fatigue, Mike. I think she wants as easy a ride as possible, and she knows that if she's just at the back of the group at the top of the climb, she can make all that ground up on the descent. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's heavier, and she also knows the slipstream effect will be to her advantage going down here. I think she's taken note of the wind and thought, well, I don't want to do too much. I'll make sure I've got a shield.
Yeah, it seems that way, but she does have the traffic ahead of her. Should any one of those at the front have a difficulty here, that's okay so far. And then on the bumps, but no, Stina Nielsen playing safe, and she's got the strength to turn this up so much on the second lap of 700 meters.
Now, who would you like to see racing on these tracks who's not on the Tour this year?
Love to see Petter Northug later in the men's.
Yeah, Northug would be great. I was thinking on the women's Tour, I thought it'd be quite interesting to see how Kowalczyk copes with the camel bumps.
Oh, yes, Kowalczyk started her career so late. She didn't quite have the ease on her skis for technical and unusual little pieces like the bumps. Look at in 4th position, Nielsen, the sprint champion this season. She's taking it so easy, just shading from the wind there. She'll turn it up soon, she's bound to.
Sadie Bjornsson leading the way for USA. Bjornsson actually the quickest qualifier in the first sprint in Toblach. Wasn't quite so impressive today, but did a 3:33.92, which was okay. Here comes Stina Nielsen, just making her move before the second time up the steep climb and stamping her authority on this one. Well paced race at the moment, and even better for her if she can establish a big enough lead so she doesn't have to put in an all-out sprint at the finish. Number 13 is Astrid Jakobsen, 11th in the Tour standings at the moment, Jakobsen, so not doing too badly. Bjornsson Bjornsson struggling with the steepness of the hill, as is Eva Uvets of Slovenia, and Nielsen is away.
Do you know, Nielsen, that was an amazing turn of pace from fourth easily up to first, and now she's decimated the field in just, what, 30 seconds?
Well, she did the same in Toblach, Mike. I mean, that final absolutely blew everyone away with, what, 500-600 meters to go.
This is, I think this is the best form we've seen Stina Nielsen in terms of her sprinting, the best form we've ever seen her.
Well, she was on pretty good form at the Olympics.
It was good, but I think she's found an extra little X factor to now completely change gear at any point, and nobody can live with it. She's bought herself all the freedom here now, the space around her, no problem at all.
Not sure the camel bump shouldn't be a little bit faster to allow the athletes to show their skills. Nielsen with a good long look over the shoulder. What a contrast between Nielsen and Usberg, who really didn't ease up at all. No chance of Nielsen getting caught, and she's had to do nothing in the last 200 meters. That bodes well for the semi-final. She goes through with a time of 3:30.9. Remember, the winning time on that first heat, 3:23 from Usberg. The difference came in that first lap.
Yeah, that was a master class there of how to easily qualify through to the semi-finals.
Bjornsson, good cornering skills. Snow's quite soft, and that could become an issue as the race goes on. Ringveld cornering well, but raced out of it. So Nielsen and Jakobsen going through by right. And no lucky losers from that second heat. Bjornsson is out, bit of a disappointment. Can we just check the times, Mike, for lucky losers? It might actually be the case that Bjornsson and Urvets are in as lucky losers at the moment.
I think so. The first lap, surprisingly, when Usberg let it out, it's 1.7 seconds slower than Stina Nielsen's win. But of course, Jakobsen was 1:19 behind. So yes, I think Sadie Bjornsson may well be safe as a lucky loser.
My mistake. I've got my 3s and 2s mixed up. The first heat was 3:32, not 3:23. And so Nielsen a little bit quicker on 3:30. So that means that we do actually have 2 lucky losers from the second heat. May change. Here's heat number 3. Lampitz, Falla, Jessie Diggins is in there wearing 15. Mary Ida of Norway in 20. 25 from Sweden, Ingmar's daughter on the far side. She employing exactly the same tactics as Stina Nielsen. And interesting to see that Norway's Falla and Mary Ida, well, actually Mary Ida at the back. Falla, though, going out hard, just as Usberg did.
Falla, probably the smallest in terms of stature, so she must have just thought, well, I don't care, I'll break through into the headwind, but I want my space. Jess Diggins, where's Jess? I think this will suit Jess Diggins' style. You need to be strong on this track. There she is, 15, and she's very strong. Third place, safe, comfortable there.
German colours being worn by Victoria Karl. Only 2 Germans getting through to the last 30.
I keep waiting, Patrick, for Victoria Karl to reach a podium here in World Cup. She got many podiums as a junior, 3 golds, in fact, a couple of silver, a few bronze. But she hasn't transferred that yet to the senior category. As the legs become more fatigued as these heats go through to the semis, then the final, I'm sure we're going to see a couple of stumbles and maybe more falls on the bumps there.
Yeah, Falla didn't seem to work the bumps at all on that occasion, probably just trying to rest the legs, but might have to if it's as close as this when she comes round for the second time. So Falla of Norway leads. Lampitz of Slovenia in second place and looking comfortable. She's had herself well positioned all the way through. Jessie Diggins, is she starting to try and move up? It looks like the work rate is going up, and she goes ahead of Lampitz into second place, and will just try and stay on the heels of Falla up the final stages of this climb. And then there may be an all-out burst on the steep section. Now, Fowler, for me, might work pretty hard on the first time up the steep section. Compare that to Nielsen, who cruised it.
Nielsen made it the first time round so easy. Fowler has taken all the workload on at the front there, and that's tough into this headwind. There's Jess Diggins now breaking free. This is what she loves, hard work.
All about tempo, and Diggins just, I think, planting the basket on the ski. Had it gone inside the ski, she would have been in all sorts of trouble. But I think just clipping the edge of her boot, recovers well, stays in second place. So Fowler and Diggins with a, 4 or 5 metre advantage over Lampitz in third place for Slovenia. Certainly this one is not decided yet. Fowler looking a little tentative on that corner.
Scary.
Diggins on the inside.
Nice line there from Diggins for the first time going to the front. I thought Ingmar's daughter in fourth place coming round the bend. I thought she'd be closer to the front. She's so strong but struggling.
Nice to see Jess Diggins free skating right into the base of the camel humps. And Bjornsson and Uret watching on their times as lucky losers. 3:32.59, the slowest of them. Diggins is going to be safe if she can stay in top spot. Fowler, the sprint champion from last year, in a spot of bother, racing it out with Lampitz for that second automatic qualifying. It's on the lunge. I think Fowler might just have got it. Photo inevitable when it's as close as that. But I think Fowler certainly had an advantage of 4 or 5 inches going into the last metre. It was a question of who got their leg furthest forward fastest.
Well, that was tight. But you know what? Jess Diggins' time, 3:29.82. It's the fastest heat so far. And I think that Lampitz or Fowler, whichever one it was, may well be good enough to go through.
Highly likely. And the margin pretty close. Ingmar's daughter in fourth. I think she may be, she's 32.40. So she might go through as well. She'll certainly go ahead of Urevs. There's the photo. Yeah, Fowler has it.
Fowler for me.
Just.
But you know, that shows how much, by taking on that early pace into the headwind, she really did suffer in the last small part of this race. Legs were just tied up.
Yeah, racing hard, but not applying too much thought to it. Well, it's easy to criticise from here, but, Mike, from what we've seen, a steady first lap actually produces a faster time than an all-out first lap.
Yeah, Stina Nielsen so far is the way to run it. This will be interesting.
So, heat 4, Lotte Udnesveng, Natalia Nepreva, the new leader of the Tour de Ski in the blue bib, as a result of that, getting a financial bonus for wearing the bib today. That will be welcome after the Christmas period. Sumskar of Sweden wearing 14. Number 11 is Lotte Udnesveng. And as you can see, another brilliant junior. Tyrrell Udnesveng, Heidi Weng, 3 Wengs in the last 30. So, here we go, heat 4. Schlind of Norway wearing 22. And on the far side, Claudel of France. And she's just cutting in, trying to get the perfect line. That's a fast start from Claudel.
It is. You know what? It didn't look to me as if anyone else wanted to lead out. Nepreva especially just went out as if she was on an easy Sunday stroll. But she's in 5th place. I'm sure she'll make it through from there.
Well, this, as far as qualifiers go, Mike, this is the only group without anyone in the top 10. So it's very, very evenly matched. And, 2 seconds separating all of them in qualifying. So really, it's going to come down to tactics as to who goes through from this heat. Yes. Schlind of Norway, 22 at the back.
Schlind playing careful there, I think, at the moment. But for me, Nepreva just looking so in control of her race. And remember, in Davos, similar, but this course is harder in terms of profile and periods of time that you're actually climbing. So Nepreva was 4th in Davos and 8th in the Tour de Ski in Toblach.
Nepreva, you would have thought, she's got a 23-second advantage going into today. You would have thought that a tops 12, i.e. a semi-final slot, would have been good enough to keep her in the blue bib for another day.
Yes, I mean, maybe the coaches are saying try and maximize your points here. Of course, 60-second bonus for winning this one today and working your way back to the top 30.
Well, she's not likely to beat Nielsen. And her nearest rival in the Tour de Ski standings is, of course, Jessie Diggins, who we've just seen in her heat.
Nepraeva's having to go a long way wide on the left, where the ski is a little slower. It's been machined, but the best line, and that's why she's struggling now to try and get through. Surprised she didn't go on the right-hand side. That's the better line. We saw Stina Nielsen go that way round the pack. So Nepraeva losing a lot of energy there, I think, in third place.
Sevesek leading the way up to the big climb for the second time. Lotte Udnes-Veng, I think she's raced a very sensible first heat. And Veng 10th in the first sprint, so she made the semi-finals. And with a little burst on the right-hand side, Veng could well have opened up 3 or 4 meters over second place. That's a good bit of acceleration over the top of the hill. Nepraeva, the tour leader, goes with her. Nepraeva's not a bad sprinter, 7th in the sprint standings from her races so far this year, and she's only had 1 final, but she's been in the semi-finals 3 out of 4 times.
She's good. I love the way that Nepraeva climbed. For me, the best climber there on the steep wall, but she's got a lot of work to do right now.
2:55 on the clock. They need to be in around 3:32:30. If anyone wants to go through as a lucky loser, and they might be pressed to achieve that.
Sebesek taking the bumps well, still in second place, but they're closing. Slind is coming through fastest. Good skis today, the Norwegians.
Needs to pick a line. She's gone on the outside. I thought she might try and nip on the inside, get the shorter line into the finish, and that could cost her, because Nepraeva now accelerating away, and Sebesek is under threat from the Russian. It's an easy win for Lotte Udnes-Veng. Sebesek hangs on, and Nepraeva with 3:35.8 is out, and so we have to wait and see whether those in the small positions in the Tour standings can come through and take the lead. Good racing from Alenka Sebesek of Slovenia, Mike. What was she? 3:37 in qualifying.
Oh, she did very well there. 3:35.45. Slind came through at the end, very strong.
This is the burst from Lotte Udnes-Veng. Skied sensibly on the first loop.
Yes, didn't want to lead early on, and look who led early on. Now at the very, very back, bib 23.
Do you think we'll see?
Odell.
Do you think we'll see Nielsen, assuming she gets through to the final stages? Do you think we'll see her employ the same tactics? Steady first lap, go all out on the climb on the second lap?
I think so. I think so. She'll play the efficient game. She's got such a turn of pace.
So Nepraeva is out. Last heat, and we have both Tyrell Udnes-Veng and Heidi Veng. Heidi Veng scraping through qualifying. Yulia Belarukova, now she's 4th in the Tour standings at the moment, and just looking at her position, she's 35 seconds off the lead. So a win for Belarukova here today might well put her ahead of a teammate in the Tour standings. Lauren van der Graaf. Now, she's had success on the Tour de Ski. She's had success in the sprint. Is she going to do it at home this time? Natalie von Siebenthal, 12th position in the Tour at the moment. Finished 8th last year. Plenty of time to make up those positions. Viznar in 7th. 17 is Tyrell Udnes-Veng. Von Siebenthal and Van der Graaf at 18 and 19, both from Switzerland. Yulia Belarukova, 21, and Heidi Veng wearing 24. And that looks like Heidi Veng at the back on the right-hand side.
Yes, clever racing. Belarukova, only one intention there was to get to the front early. She's just watched her teammate Nepraeva playing tactical, but couldn't get round. She went the wrong way to try and get round. So I think this time Belarukova's been briefed. Get in the top 2, stay there.
Now, what's your fancy on the technique here? What do you do with the hips and the head?
Well, watching earlier Nepraeva, she was so locked through the hips, so I think you have to try and keep squared, no wobbling around. It's a steep wall, so you've got to keep locked in the core and use your power to slide yourself up that hill. Easy to talk about sitting here. Some are doing it well today, some are struggling a little. And day 3 of the Tour, legs are a little tired. Yes, they had a day off yesterday. Day's training.
And not much of a party last night, to be honest. That will wait until they retire.
This is quite von Siebenthal nearly taking a tumble there. A bib 18, where is she? Third place.
Sveng, it is leading the way at the moment. Belarukova in second place behind her. Von Siebenthal and Van der Graaf of Switzerland are very evenly matched at the moment. Heidi Weng back in fifth place, about to be overtaken by Viznar of Slovenia, who's been sixth up until now. This is where the race really starts. The start of the second lap.
Is the headwind going to catch Belarukova out? She's led from the start, basically. And up the straight, it is a significant factor today, that headwind.
1,400 meters, the distance, and taking 3.5 minutes.
Viznar easily done none of the lead work so far till this point after 2 minutes. I think that's a good strategy. And on paper, the fastest. She was fastest in qualifying by some 3 seconds to the rest of this group. Not over yet, though. That's a good turn of pace. Viznar safe. She wanted safety and clear space up here.
Still no real move from Heidi Weng, and we've got a faller. It's Van der Graaf that's gone down. Second Swiss faller we've had so far. It's a slightly different position. One was on the camel humps, and Van der Graaf going down at the bottom of the steep hill, just getting the transition wrong, but she's still got a slim chance. Only gave away some 15 meters.
She's traffic jam now. She's desperate to get through. She can't at the moment. And the 2 Swiss girls are at the back. That's a pity.
Viznar, the fastest qualifier in this heat, and took the first lap very, very steady indeed. She's got herself in the perfect position at the moment. Down round that sharp right-hander, and then they've got the camel humps to come. One big left-hand turn that leads them into the finish. And this is going to be a tight one. We always thought it would be close. 3:32. I'm not sure we're going to see a lucky loser from here. Viznar round the last corner, but she's under pressure. Tyrrell Udnes-Beng looking for a way on the outside. That looks like Heidi Weng that's gone down. She's furious with that. Lashes out at Van der Graaf, who was trying to fight her way back into it. And that means that Belarukova's got a real chance of going through. It's going to be Weng and Belarukova. And unluckily for Katja Viznar, who did much of the work, all the work on that second lap, it's not good enough because 3:36.8 will not go through as a lucky loser. So Belarukova through to the semi-finals, and she will close ground on the tour leader, Nepraeva of Russia. So that's going to be close at the end. That was a hard-fought race, Mike.
It was. Well, what a pity at the end for here's it was going so well for von Siebenthal, and it's just sorry, Van der Graaf.
Was that her fault, or was it Belarukova planting a pole inside her ski? I think actually it was her own pole. Now let's have a look at the fall here.
Well, definitely Heidi Weng will be furious because she was mistakenly, accidentally interfered with on that bend.
No, we need to see it a little before that. It was Van der Graaf who was travelling the fastest. Well, that's the way sprinting goes. Not only have you got to be quick, you've got to find yourself in space and be safe. Easier said than done when you've got a sharp corner coming into the finish.
But it's interesting, when you're in form, you can buy yourself in a safer place. Heidi Weng, who's won the Tour de Ski the last 2 seasons, is not on form. And I think that's why she allowed herself to struggle there and eventually to fall.
So there are your semi-finalists from the women's event. Coming up next, the men's first round. Welcome back to Valmoster. We're underway in the first quarter-final of the men's event, and it's Simon Kruger who's decided that the pace up that first hill was just a little bit too slow. He's wearing 19. We've also got Johannes Husflet-Klæbo, who is now the leader of the Sprint World Cup, and he's third in the Tour standings at the moment. Klæbo didn't compete last year, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do, Mike. He has to improve his distance racing if he's going to win the Tour this year. Standing tall is Sergei Ustiakov, who won here 2 years ago, and Klæbo going so wide on that left-hander.
Well, I thought Klæbo was nearly caught sleeping there. He nearly went over into the advertising banners, but he luckily got out of that little situation. Ustiakov so far for me has played the most economical game, just playing the hunter there in the early part, and I'm sure we'll see a massive turn of pace coming up very, very soon from Ustiakov.
Well, we have 1 and 5 in terms of qualifiers in this heat. Often we have more. It's heat 2 that's pretty stacked with 3, 4 and 6. But Kruger will certainly fancy his chances of going through, and he's done all the work so far. But if the women's heats are anything to go by, the leader of the first lap does not get rewarded at the end of the day. And there's an injection of speed coming in from Ustiakov. Belov of Russia trying to go with him, but it's Ustiakov who's got the strength at the moment.
2 years ago, Patrick, remember when we came here, Ustiakov led the qualifying, won it by 4 seconds, and on that occasion went on to win overall. He had endless power. There goes Klæbo to the right. Watch the turn of pace there. Dances his way up.
That is how to climb this hill. Wow, fantastic. And what you notice, Mike, is that Klæbo's upper body much more upright than the rest. As soon as that upper body comes down, you sort of hinder the legs working fast.
He was so upright. I'd love to see a side angle on that, and again extending his hips forward to slide his body up that wall.
But the hips low as well. No point in standing up. That just takes time. But beautiful technique, and look at the margin that Klæbo has opened up. He's saying to Ustiakov, I am the #1 sprinter, not you. And he looks over the shoulder. He's got to be careful. He's been caught out already this season by just cruising into the finish and being overtaken. Actually, he lost the race in Ruka as a result of that.
I think that's a class act. Just his strategy, not taking much of the work on first time round, putting on that acceleration on the wall, and it's now an easy run home.
Well, he made that look very, very easy. 109 on the first lap round to the camel humps. That will be an indicator of how the rest of the heats start. And 3:10, 6 seconds slower than Klæbo did his qualifying run.
And guess who's last? Unfortunately, Kruger. He led all of the first and a little bit of the second lap. 2 laps of 700, the same course as the women.
Bransdal and Groh in the lucky losers positions at the moment, 3:12. So 3:10, Mike, some 20 seconds plus.
There's the side angle there. Look at the angulation, knee to ankle to reach as far up the hill. And that great compression through his lead side.
Head held high pretty much all the way throughout. And then good acceleration over the top of the hill. Ustiakov looking very tired. Don't forget, Ustiakov won the 15K 2 days ago, but I thought he was too tired, but his time over the last 2K downhill was very, very good. So I think he was probably saved by his skis and saved by the fact that the coaches were giving him tips saying, you have got a fraction of a second advantage. He pushed hard. But, Mike, can you recover from that sort of exertion in 48 hours?
Well, we'll see in the semi-finals, then the finals, because that's when it begins to trip them up, when the fatigue builds and builds as these sprints go on.
Number 4 is Lucas Chanava, one of 4 Frenchmen to make it through to the top 30. 3. Federico Pellegrino, still the most successful freestyle sprinter of all time. Can he add to his tally and increase his record today? Simeon Hamilton of USA is in this group, wearing 6. He had a bit of misfortune in Toblach. He'll be hoping for better today. Melnichenko of Russia is 27, Simic 28, and Redvik of Russia, number 30. Is that Redvik on the far side?
No, yes, stuck in fact, yes, far side at the front. Beg your pardon, he's at the back, the 5th place. So who's brave enough to go out front? Chanava. I wonder if he's going to skate 2 up this. He's going to try. No, just to this point. Chanava slowing everything down here. He'll probably put a turn of pace in now to get away. No, nice and easy.
So Chanava out front, Pellegrino just keeping an eye on things, but not overexerting himself. Redvik comfortable, was in 3rd, but now drops down into 5th. So the 2 Russians at the back of the field as Simeon Hamilton of USA tries to move up. Looks very casual on the inside, beautifully relaxed on the ski. Nice skiing there from Hamilton, puts him from 4 to 3, and down they come to the Hamel humps just as he's thrown back into 4th position. Now the last heat to the top of the first hump at 109. They're just fractionally slower, not a lot in it.
I thought they'd be a lot slower. When you look at the movement, Chanava, he's so strong, he makes it look easy, but it is still very fast. This is tight, so close together. This is the tightest we've seen it.
lap 2.
Who wants to lead up here? No one really, but Chanavay is at the front doing it.
Hamilton just making sure he's in a good position. He's on the outside when it comes to the next corner, so he wants to get to the front if he wants to limit the distance he's got to ski. It's still Chanavay of France with a slight lead over Hamilton. Redvik of Russia back in third. Pellegrino starting to accelerate in the green suit on the far side. Pellegrino certainly making a move there.
This climb is where Pellegrino, for me, has got the best tempo. He's going to have to bring it all together here to move from fourth up to first. Look at his tempo.
Yeah,
lovely.
Similar to that of Klæbo. Those two are going to have a good battle when it comes to the final. And Pellegrino keeps the pace on over the top. He has done the damage. He's split the field that were only, what, 6 meters from front to back prior to the big climb. And now it's something like 30 meters between them.
Interestingly, so Pellegrino saved himself in the pack for 2 minutes and 1 second before he made that burst.
This time Hamilton starts tight on the corner, gets thrown wide. The pace a little bit higher than it was last time round. Over the humps for the second time. Keep a look at the clock. 2:44 for Pellegrino.
Looks quite therapeutic, them all bouncing up and down over these bumps, tiring on the legs after what they've been through at 3 minutes racing now.
And Pellegrino with a long look over his shoulder, he saw that the margin between second and third was sufficiently big for him to be able to relax. Hamilton trying to put in a burst. He's left it a little bit late. He could have taken Chanavay by surprise. But 3:11 quick enough for a lucky loser at the moment. 3:10.4. And Klæbo's time on the first heat, 3:09.96.
But that was a fast with Chanavay setting the early pace, and I think great effort from Chanavay to come through into second place, having taken on so much of the workload. But Hamilton's time is good. That might be enough for him to qualify through as a lucky loser. 3:11.08. Look at the pace change there from Pellegrino. For me, that's even more dynamic than we saw Klæbo. But I'm sure Klæbo will be saving something for the semi, then the final.
Look how far he lifts that foot up the hill, Mike. Still manages to get on top. You've got to make sure the danger of doing that is that the ski stalls. If there's enough dynamic movement in the body, that won't happen. But for most of us, we'd come to a grinding halt about halfway up that climb.
You've got to be so strong to do it like that.
So 2 heats completed, another 3 to go in this quarter-final stage of the men's race. Iversen, Svensson, Skor, Ferger, Renauget of France is wearing 23, and Stg of Poland, who's actually a much improved sprinter this year. He wears 26, just scraped through qualification, but I think he'll be confident that he can make it through to the last 12. Emil Iversen certainly the favourite to win this one, having been 4 seconds quicker than anyone else in qualifying. There he is. Second fastest to Klæbo in qualifying. 18 is Roman Ferger of Switzerland. Swiss not having too much success so far here today. They have got Dario Colonia to look forward to in the next heat. And then Schad and Rösch in the final heat. So heat number 3, Iversen, Svensson, Skor, Ferger of Switzerland, Jay of France, and Stg of Poland, wearing 26 on the far side in the red and white, as you'd expect. But Iversen the man to watch out for, and I wonder what tactics he'll employ this time.
Well, he's at the front alongside his teammate, Skor. So is this a Norwegian strategy, roadblock? They must be aware that by leading, it reduces a little your chances.
Well, that's a very, very hard pace, and I'd be surprised if they don't beat the 1:10 mark for the first of the Kummel humps.
And Iversen setting the second fastest time in qualifying, so he's got the track speed, he's got the confidence. Well, he's such a big guy, maybe just buying himself space and freedom up at the front.
Iversen going very, very wide, trying to use the bank snow on the edge. We saw Hamilton with a very quick turn earlier on. Down towards the camel humps now, 1:03 on the clock. It does look pretty quick over the top in 1:06. 4 seconds quicker than any of the heats so far. looking good for Norway. Jay of France back in third place. The margin is big, but this is where you get tested. The second time round this loop, the pulse rate is now up to maximum. The breathing rate is almost as fast as the pulse rate, and the pain levels are high.
He's going to break this field. In fact, he's breaking it already. 4 at the back, just the 2 Norwegians at the front. Will the pack at the back close this down? Iversen has to back off, you'd expect. The lactic build-up there is just coursing through all his veins. But still sparking, looking good. Again, buying himself safety at the front. Well, they're closing him down a little.
There's an opportunity here. If anyone's got anything left on this second climb, they've got to get within a couple of meters. And that's some good skiing from Oskar Svensson of Sweden. Looked as though he was going to get right on the heels of Iversen, but it's not happened. And the Norwegians still with a significant margin down the hill for the second time. 23, that's Renauget of France. And I think he's going to be out of it at this stage. But don't forget, last time round, they were 4 seconds quicker than any heat so far. 2:44 over the first of the camel humps. That's our indicator for a lucky loser. If they can beat that, then we could well get a lucky loser from this heat as well.
I'm so impressed with Iversen at the front. He's suffering. He totally has to be suffering. Yeah, now he's just got an easy ride to the finish line.
They still have a 2-second advantage, which is good news for Oskar Svensson if he can't quite get on terms with the 2 Norwegians coming into the home straight. Iversen leading, has time and the confidence to look over his shoulder just to check on score. He does it again. Doesn't want to get caught out a third time. He checks over the shoulder. Scores safe in second, and Svensson has to wait and see. He gets the green light for now. 3:07.2. That must be quick enough to get a lucky loser.
That was an incredibly fast heat. Even Roman Furger, taking 4th place, sets a faster time than Klæbo, but Pellegrino's heat as well. So I'm, at the moment, safely through for Roman Furger. I don't think we'll see heat 4 or 5 go any faster than that.
I don't think they'll want to.
Who would want to?
Yeah.
But I thought his legs were so tired there. Iversen survived so well around that bend. Did go into it a little wide.
Now with the win, Iversen goes into the first semi-final, so he's not got a lot of time to recover before then. And Score will go into the second semi, gives him a chance getting through to the last 6. But 2 lucky losers at the moment coming out of that third heat. Unusual. Usually we see them in the first heat, but that was pedestrian by the standards we've just seen. Halvarsson, Dario Colonia. Well, let's have a look at the other runners. Francesco De Fabiani, and a man with a World Cup win to his name. Can he add one today? His qualifying time of 3:11 would suggest not. Some 7 seconds slower than Klæbo earlier on. Kalle Halvarsson, he's done well here before, Mike, and we've seen him in the final 4 years ago, I think it was. Dario Colonia, 4-time Tour de Ski champion. You saw there on the screen. The last time he won it was 12 months ago. And Dario Colonia currently lying in 16th position. It's going to be a massive task for him to do it again, especially with the Russians on such good form.
Well, is there a home advantage? And I think certainly in the qualifying earlier for Colonia to have picked up an 8th place. He's certainly on form. Now he just has to navigate through the pack. He's in 5th place at the moment.
Well, I think this is a fairly tight race. Krug, wearing 24, was the slowest in qualifying, and he's leading the way at the moment. I'm not sure what his thought process is. Maybe he feels he can't win this one with the likes of Halvarsson and Colonia in there, but maybe he's going for a lucky loser time just to get himself into the semi-finals. 7th is Halvarsson, who's lying 10th in the Tour standings at the moment.
Yes, on paper, Halvarsson, the fastest in qualifying, doesn't mean much. It's about a tactic here, strategy. But you still need out-and-out raw speed. that bend is becoming a little worse as the heats go by.
Yeah, I think in the final that could be significant if there are 3 or 4 side by side coming down the hill for the second time over the camel humps, and it's the second fastest heat so far, which is good news for Krug, who's leading.
Well, Dario Colonia, this is where he was brought up. This is where he wants to really sparkle. At the moment, he needs to set himself a task of getting from 5th up into the top 2.
Colonia will know this course better than anyone else. There he is wearing bib number 8. It's not a convincing performance quite yet, but maybe just biding his time, waiting until he puts the throttle down. Sweden looking good now. Halvarsson starting to move up, 4-3. But as soon as he does that, Richard Juve starts to make his move on the outside, number 13, and puts himself in a good position. It's still the slowest qualifier who leads. Krug, who's done all the hard work so far. I'm starting to feel a bit nervous for Krug, Mike. I think he may end up down in 5th or 6th.
I am too. I've been watching Dario Colonia's path through. He's been roadblocked every which way he's gone. A lot of hard work to now get up into 4th.
Yeah,
still 5th.
Still down in 5 and not looking very light on his feet, but he's still there. He's close enough to get the benefit of the slipstream. Krug still leading. France with Richard Juve in 2nd place. Halvarsson in the Swedish colours, dropping back to 5 as De Fabiani moves up into 4. Sorry, as Fabiani moves up into 3.
Colonia putting his brakes on, edging to kill his speed. Lost a little bit of speed, but exiting well on this bend. He's still there. He's still got a chance.
Well, this is going to be a fantastic finish. 2:44 generally over the camel humps. It's not as quick as the 3rd heat that we saw, so I think we're only going to see 2 qualifiers from here. Krug still has a chance. Juve of France gets the pole position coming out, but a brilliant corner from Krug. Is he going to come through as the slowest qualifier? Is he going to make it? He may just do that. Richard Juve going well. De Fabiani of Italy trying to get up in the 2nd, but just misses out. And the winning time, well, 3:09.6 for De Fabiani. That is not quick enough. Ferger was 3:08.83. So Krug goes through, as does Richard Juve. No Colonia and no Halvarsson. Mike, that's a big surprise.
Huge surprise. On paper, they were the 2 fastest, certainly in qualifying, but it was a horrible journey for Colonia on the far right there. He could not get through. He tried, but that's the same for all. If you're in the pack, it's difficult to get through.
That was a tight race, and that final corner is tricky. De Fabiani he started on the inside but couldn't hold his line, and he had to almost decelerate to move around the back of Krug and Juve, and from then on just had too much work to do.
Krug was, for me, without doubt, the most impressive, and look what it's done to him. He led that thing from the start, and he finished in 2nd place.
Well, I'm going to put my money on the fact that that is as far as his journey goes. He's got through to the semi-final.
It looks that way.
Can he recover?
Well, unfortunately, he's still in the prone position.
Supine.
Supine, okay.
So there's your lineup for heat number 5. Victor Thorn of Sweden, Dominic Baldorf of Austria. This is Jason Rösch. Now, the Swiss need something to cheer about. They've seen their athletes knocked over like 9 pins. Nothing's gone right for them so far today. Is it going to be Roman Schad? Can he do something special? Brilliant at under 23 level. He's got a tough task today because there's some real talent in there. And none other than Alexander Bolshanov, who was one of the big stars of last season. And he started this season as well. He is the World Cup leader, Alexander Bolshanov.
And of course it was his birthday just 2 days ago. Yesterday was the day. 22-year-old, and he's leading the tour.
Leading the tour leading the World Cup standings. Things are going very, very well for Bolshinov. He started well in Rukamai, then he was a shadow of himself in Lillehammer. How quickly did he drop away? And now he's come back up again.
It's quite a journey, and then it makes you wonder, did the equipment run well in Lillehammer? You know, over 3 days, you don't have 3 bad days, but yes, it is interesting, his journey. And what he did 2 days ago to finish 3rd in the 15-kilometre, thought that was spectacular.
Hackler it is who leads for Finland in the early stages, qualified 15th, and just taking it relatively easy. I don't think we're going to see any records broken for the first lap here.
Bolshinov just easily hunting there in 3rd place. It's safe. There's not that much traffic to get through, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah, Bolshinov, Ustiakov, Klebo, Pellegrino would be a fantastic final. They all ski in very different ways, but they all incredibly strong, incredibly talented, and very, very aggressive skiers indeed, particularly Ustiakov and Bolshinov. I'd expect to see Bolshinov go quite early on this second climb. He's got himself on the inside line, wearing the red, of course, of the Russian team. Still Hackler of Finland leading, but I'm not sure how long that is going to last.
Baldauf in 2nd place now. We don't often see the Austrians at this stage into the heats before the semis, but he's doing very well. And of course, we'd expect the Austrians to be lifting their game, closing in on the World Championships at home. There he is, he's going past now. He's deciding to take the lead.
That's a good bit of acceleration, and Bolshinov, no real injection of pace. Maybe he's saving it for the big climb, but he's a big man. He's about 4 inches wider than anyone else in this particular heat. But just look at the strength in the upper body, trying to hang on to the tails of Baldauf. It's the Austrian who leads. Russia in 2nd with Bolshinov. 15 Hackler, who led the first lap, now starting to struggle, and a big gap opening up between 2 and 3.
Well, that's a huge form change from Baldauf. It's looking good so far. He was confident, strong enough to continue that surge that he had, and he's on survival now, without a doubt, negotiating the drop-off fast left-hander. Just the bumps, the humps to go.
2:42, the fastest time so far to the first camel bump, and Baldauf's not far outside that. 2:43, second fastest heat so far in terms of the leader, but there's a big, big spread. No lucky losers surely coming from this heat. Now Baldauf can ease up.
Bolshinov could ease up as well. He's done a great job. Hasn't been further back than 3rd.
Absolutely no need for Bolshinov to do anything. He finally realizes that he's got 2nd place in the bag, so he quits early, but he could have saved himself even more effort there. 3:09.5, the winning time, and that's some 3 seconds slower than we saw from Emil Iverson's heat, which was 3:06.26. But Bolshinov safely through. Welcome back to Val Moster. We're back with the women's sprint event here. Jessie Diggins lined up in the first of the semi-finals, and she's got a very good chance to improve her position in the Tour de Ski today. Currently lying in 2nd place. She's 23 seconds down on Natalia Nepraeva, who has been knocked out. Stina Nielsen, the favourite to take the sprint. Interesting to see what tactics she employs for this semi-final. I think it will be a slow first lap, and then she'll apply the pressure second time up the big climb. Sophie Caldwell of USA alongside her teammate. So we have Sweden with Ingmarsdottir and Nielsen, USA with Diggins and Caldwell, and Jakobsen is in there for Norway alongside Østberg. So 2 Norwegians, 2 Americans, 2 Swedes, 1 battle.
Now, does anybody want to lead? Somebody has to. It is fast. It's not a pedestrian out of the start blocks, and Østberg taking the work on at the front. Jakobsen, well, alongside her. Sophie Caldwell once again, just taking it comfortably there. She's on the left column, bib number 4. So that didn't no huge surge up the climb this time around. Stina Nielsen, economical, so economical to this point. And I like the way she, even though she could, yeah, she can turn the turbos on any time, but she buys herself a lot of space in case anything happens in front of her.
Just looking a little tentative on that corner. I think the best line is inside. There's a lot of soft snow on the outside there. And at the moment, the two Norwegians with the advantage, but they do have Stina Nielsen poised to pounce, as she is wont to do, and may well start to make her move in the next 100 metres or so. Jessie Diggins, I think, probably watching Stina Nielsen, or being advised by the coaches just to stay behind the Swede, use her tactics as you go into the second lap. Now the Norwegians might start to suffer.
You would expect it a little. Jess Diggins took that corner so well, took good speed out of the bend, but still won in 4th place. Caldwell tucked, her teammate tucked in behind her.
15 is Jessie Diggins, currently lying in 4th place. Caldwell, as Mike says, right on her tail. At the back of the group at the moment, we've got Ingmar's daughter of Sweden. Now, she's capable of a change in pace, and Ingmar's daughter's had a good season in terms of sprinting, Mike, lying 3rd in the standings. She was 2nd last time out in Toblach, so she won't want to sit at the back for too long. Usberg still leading as they start the big climb for the 2nd time, and then Stina Nielsen just puts the power down, accelerates on the outside, makes Usberg look pedestrian as she gets to the top, and Nielsen's got herself a 5-metre lead.
Well, Usberg completely, totally and utterly running out of steam. She had no energy on the wall, and she'll be on survival now. She could still get through to the final, but needs to work.
Yeah, Usberg really needs a good result here today. I think the final position would be enough, Mike. She's 3rd in the Tour standings, only 5 seconds behind Jessie Diggins, who lies 2nd. So a real battle. They're both in this heat. Nielsen's made it look very, very easy. Look at the margin she's opened up. What a battle, though, we have for 2nd place.
Stina Nielsen, that's incredible. She left it to the steep wall climb, and she could just destroy the field this season at the press of a button.
It's hard to believe that Usberg's going to be able to mount a challenge over the last 200 metres, having seen her at the top of the big climb, but we've been surprised already today by some performances. Maybe she can do it again. The Americans looking to number 4, Sophie Caldwell, who's in 2nd place at the moment, but Caldwell's being chased by Jessie Diggins, who's moving up on the outside. It's going to be Stina Nielsen with an easy win. Caldwell in 2nd, Jessie Diggins coming through in 3rd, and Usberg has to wait and see whether 30.9 is fast enough to go through as a lucky loser.
Blimey, I admire the work that Usberg put in out there. I thought maybe the strategy was just to break everybody, but in that effort, she broke herself. Finished 4th.
Now, would you stick to your own way of racing, or would you watch others and think that tactic actually worked a whole lot better than mine?
I think you'd have to keep an eye on what happens, because, you know, there's a path there, there's a trend. And the trend is, if you're leading for the 1st lap, you reduce your chances 2nd lap. I think you would watch what's happening and adjust your strategy.
And the nature of the first climb, Mike, the long 200 metres out of the stadium, which looks pretty flat on the screens, but it's not, and then the wall at the end, that's a lactate-inducing profile. You have to be careful first time round. Just watch Usberg completely ties up number 2 in the middle. Stina Nielsen, who took the first ascent fairly steady, has plenty of power left to go up and over. And Usberg losing, what, 3 or 4 seconds in the last 5 metres of that climb.
Incredible. And the big factor is the run up to that hill. There's such a strong headwind. That's why today it's an even bigger factor by leading, because you're breaking all that headwind.
Easy-ozy for Stina Nielsen. Looks as though she's going to notch up yet another sprint win. I can't see anyone matching her today. 3:30, 1:69 ahead of Sophie Caldwell without any effort at all. So the second semi-final, they've had a little bit longer to rest, but those who went in heat 5 are going to struggle. The likes of Tyrrell Udnesveng and Bela Rukova. Sebasek of Slovenia came through from heat number 4. Bela Rukova was in heat number 5. Has she recovered? We'll find out soon enough. There is Tyrrell Udnesveng, who raced well in the first round. Maiken Kaspersen-Faller. At her best, you would favour her, but we haven't seen her best so far this year. Lotte Udnesveng goes number 11, and then on the far side, Anna Maria Lampitz of Slovenia. It's about time she added another win to the World Cup win she has to her name already. Away they go, and Falla looked to start fairly steadily, but now picks up the pace. Belarukova, who's fourth in the tour standings at the moment, 35 seconds off the leader Neprayeva. If Belarukova wins today, Mike, that should be good enough to put her ahead of Neprayeva.
It's impressive. The Russians have come in so strong to this season. They're carrying it now through to after Christmas, the Tour de Ski. I'm just thinking, though, Patrick, in this, the second semi-final, I think we're only going to see 2 of these athletes make it through to the final. So I do think that Jess Diggins and Østberg have a chance. Maybe not so much Østberg, but Jess Diggins a chance to go through to the final.
Well, they got to the second red banner in 49 seconds, the first heat. Just started to disappear. So it looks as they're already a second and a half behind time. I've got another split point at the camel humps of 1:17. That will give us a very good idea. But the lucky losers, Mike, in the last heat were 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds outside that winning time of Stina Nielsen.
They were detached, absolutely. 33:30 Jess Diggins' time. We'll have to wait and see.
1:17, the time we're looking for, and it's smack on 1:17. So advantage semi-final number 2 at the moment in terms of getting some lucky losers. But don't forget that Stina Nielsen put on a huge amount of power at the back end of this big climb that they're just about to start now.
It's quite interesting. I don't think we've seen the Veng twins, Lotte Udnes and Tyrrell Udnes, in the same semi-final before.
Very wide line for the race leader, Falla of Norway, opening the door for Lampitz, and Belarukova I thought was going to make a move, but she's waiting in the red in around 4th, maybe 5th position at the moment. 17 is Tyrrell Udnesveng, and she's starting to close up on the leaders. Now, what has number 9, Maiken Kaspersen Falla, the reigning sprint World Cup champion from last year, has she got anything left? This is where she looked tired in the first round, but much better speed into the bottom of the climb.
Very much. I thought she was going very wide to the right. It allows the door wide open on the inside for Belarukova to come through.
Yeah, Belarukova's got roadblocks. She did not have enough space to get past the skis of Anna Maria Lampitz of Slovenia, and that could well have cost Belarukova a qualifying time.
Lotte Udnes looking good in second place. Falla, that's brave to lead this and still be leading at this stage. It's looking a better day for her now for the final.
Still a way to go. Lampitz still looking dangerous in 3rd position. Lotte Udnesveng just a little unsteady on the skis. Belarukova back in 5th place at the moment, and seemingly no way through to the top 2 unless she can produce something spectacular. She goes for the inside line, tries to accelerate into the back straight now. One big left-hand turn to come, and we've seen plenty of positions change here. The key is to carry as much speed as you can into the home straight, and Lampitz looks to have done better than the 2 Norwegians. This is not over quite yet.
Falla lost a lot of pace going around that bend. Oh, she might survive it. She is going to survive it. Lampitz, nothing left.
Lotte Udnesveng just being pushed back down into 2nd place. Falla saying, I want the win in the semi-final. She gets it, and very, very tight between Belarukova and Lampitz. 3:36.7 the winning time.
Wow, Diggins and Østberg going through.
Yeah, Diggins, Østberg goes through. Østberg saying, not again, not again. But so important. If Østberg wants to win the Tour de Ski this year.
She needs the points. She needs the bonus seconds. Falla, so pleased that she's made it through to the final. Her sprinting hasn't been so good this year, but looking better right now.
She did it the hard way. No one in that second semi-final looked as though they were a patch on Stina Nielsen.
The factor that Stina has is that the ability to just change speed in an instant and maintain it. And that's tough to do when your legs are tired. Belarukova, she so nearly made it through, but then the door was closed again on the left side for her.
Yeah, good positioning from Lampitz. You can't take anything away from her. There's no way you can change course or expect someone to get out of your way, which is why we've seen so many of the top skiers, the Clarebos, the Pellegrinos, they all go right, Mike, because they've got infinite space out there, and they're unlikely to get caught on the trap on the inside.
You can get wedged in. They realise that. Going wide, it's the longer way, but it's the safer way.
So, confirmation, the second semi-final, Kaspersen, Faller and Lotte Udnesveng go through. Lampitz misses out. The lucky losers both coming from the first heat, which means the Americans still have a racer in it. And Ingvild Flugstad Østberg is through as well. Well, that might well have been Belarukova's chance of taking the lead in the overall, but Diggins and Østberg, if Diggins can win the final, then she'll certainly go ahead of Neprayeva, having started today just 23 seconds behind. We move back to the semi-finals of the men's, and they've only had about 13 minutes since the end of their knockout phase.
It's such a short period of recovery. Shanava there still looking confident.
Sergei Ustyugov, he looked pretty good, Mike. Put in a burst on the second climb up the steep section. Emil Iversen went hard early on. What's he going to do this time round?
Look at the names in this lineup, all the big names.
Johannes Husford, Klæbo, yes, this is certainly worthy of a final. And of course, Pellegrino in there as well. There could be a little bit of mayhem when we climb the steep step for the second time, because all the big names went for a burst there last time round. The Iversens, the Ustyugovs, the Klæbos, and of course we've got to throw in Shanava as well, and Emil Iversen, who's no pushover in this sort of an event.
Oh, this is brutal. Klæbo winning the right to lead this into the headwind. He knows what he's doing though.
Roman Ferger, the sole surviving Swiss skier in the competition, men or women's, wearing 18 at the back of the field at the moment. Klæbo setting the place. Shanava of France matching him on the right-hand side. Pellegrino knows exactly where he wants to be, which is on the heels of the world's #1 sprinter. If anyone can outpace him on this climb next time round, it is Federico Pellegrino. Slightly different tactics there for Pellegrino. Mike trying to keep the legs as straight as possible and just save the quads for the next round.
Yeah, he was kind of dancing, jumping up this time, and it's not fast this time though, Patrick. Iversen deciding to take the lead. Iversen and Shanava on the inside, third place. Klæbo easy, taking the corner well.
55.6 on that corner.
Ustyugov at the moment is playing the very, very economical game at the back. Well, obviously ready to unleash something on the second lap of 700.
Well, it's faster than 2 or 3 of the first round races we saw, but it's not anywhere near as quick as heat number 3, which was down at 1:06. So now we're expecting to see some fireworks. Ustyugov at the back, Mike. He looked a little bit tired first time around. He's giving himself an awful lot to do if he's going to come away with a top 2 position in this run. He moves to his right, now trying to make up ground from 6th to 5th to 4th, up alongside Pellegrino, who says, I'll tuck in behind him, use his slipstream. And now the fireworks start. Klæbo comes out, and I'm not sure whether he can be penalised for that, but he certainly wasn't aware of Ustyugov, who was coming up on his outside.
I think Ustyugov's ski went over the basket of Klæbo's ski pole, nearly pulled it back. Ustyugov's away.
Watch the 2 men on the outside, though. Klæbo and Pellegrino, they get to the top of the hill first. Ustyugov still hanging in. He chose a good line on that occasion. Iversen still in with a chance. Under the red banner, keep a look at the time. 2:17. That's our marker for the second semi-final.
Well, if there's any feeling left in any of these legs there, I'll be very surprised. They've got a few seconds to try and gain some recovery.
Ustyugov just a little bit wide, gave away a metre or 2 to Pellegrino, which might mean he has to put in 100% in the final straight if he wants to get through to the final. We may see some lucky losers from this heat. It has not been slow on that second lap. Klæbo not wanting to take any risks whatsoever. The fastest qualifier leading the way round the final corner. Pellegrino just trying to get the better of the Norwegian. He comes out with a good line and now starts to move to his left, looking for a little bit of space as he comes down the final 50 metres. Still Klæbo leading, Pellegrino on his case, Iversen up into 3, and Ustiakov failing, finishes 4, but isn't out of it quite yet. 3:08.4.
Well, Iversen, that was wonderful cornering from him. In doing so, he kind of roadblocked, nothing illegal, but it didn't allow Ustiakov to come through again for a second time. So Ustiakov just losing his cornering into the home straight and losing his chance at the moment, although it is a fast time to go through into the final.
Ustiakov won here ahead of Pellegrino and Krug 2 years ago. Sundby was 4 on that occasion. Sundby not even getting into the top 30 today. Shanovau was 5. Alex Harvey, another man who hasn't qualified, 6. Did 2 years make all that difference?
It's amazing what 2 years can do. And remember the fantastic results from the British team. Andrew Musgrave 10th and Andrew Young 11th. Unfortunately, Andrew Young didn't start today. Didn't start the trial earlier. And Muzzy was down, what, 14 seconds, I think, off the lead time, out of the top 30.
Yeah, Musgrave ill in the early days of the Christmas break. Had a message from his sister saying that he was off training, didn't really start training until a couple of days before the tour. So he's happy with the way things are going. He's back to full health, but obviously not back to his prime condition. Semi-final number 2. And it really is a support act compared to what we've just seen, but it does contain the tour leader, Alexander Bolshinov. So Oskar Svensson wearing 9 for Sweden. Here is Bolshinov, and I think he'll be delighted to be in semi-final 2. Gives him a really good chance of getting through into the last 6. And then, of course, Mike, he can just ease up and say, OK, I've got a few bonus seconds.
Yes, it's a tough place to go. He's had less recovery compared to some of the athletes lined up against aside him. Well, Finn Hagen Crow, we saw him exhausted after getting through to the semi, but he's ready to go again. Baldauf, biggest surprise of the day for me, coming into great form.
Michel Juvet, 13. Unlucky for some, but maybe it's going to be his day. Certainly looked very, very confident in the qualifying and the first knockout round. Baldauf really puts the pressure down in the early stages, and Krug, Mike, who led his first round heat pretty much from start to finish. We thought he might blow up at some stage, but having qualified 24, he's gone for the same tactics again.
He's a brave, he's just such a fighter, isn't he? He just wants to lead, or he just wants to push the pace hard to try and break the rest of the field.
But one advantage of leading, which we haven't really mentioned, is the fact that you get clean snow. You take your own rhythm. There's less chance of being obstructed by someone else. But Krug up that climb, he made it look as though it was the second ascent, not the first.
He did. I think there's fatigue boiling away there in his legs. It's much, much slower though, Patrick. So I think almost certainly, even at this stage, we can say only 2 will go through to the final from this group. And that maybe allows Iversen and Ustiakov to go through.
109 over the first camel hump, the first semi-final. So we will see very shortly how different the pace is, up and over. It's maybe half a second slower, but they've got plenty of time to make up for that.
I am surprised. I thought it was a little off that pace.
Well, we'll see again when they come round next time and they get to the top of the hill. 2:17 was my time for the red banner just before they start the descent. Bolshinov it is setting the pace now. Krug has gone with him, tucked in the slipstream. Baldauf of Austria doing well. Is he going to make it through to the final? That would be a big occasion for him and the Austrian team. Juvet of France back down in 5, and right at the back, Oskar Svensson, who qualified in the top 10. So would have expected to make the semi-finals as he has done, but he's losing ground with every stride at the moment.
Baldauf again at this stage. This is where he came through last time. He's doing the same this time around. Bolshinov, so strong, has made it look quite easy, but he is covering the ground so fast.
Keep an eye on 24. Krug has a little bit of space to play with on the inside, but it's Richard Uwe who is the fastest up the climb, and he gets himself up into third place behind Baldorf. And now a big turn of speed from Skår of Norway. Goes round the outside, under the banner in 2:19.220. They're now 3 seconds down on that first heat, so I think your prediction of the lucky losers coming from heat number 1, absolutely spot on.
And I think our prediction of poor old Finn Hagen Kroh, he's just completely run out of energy. He's at the back now, no way back.
Yeah, big gap. Oscar Svensson giving up the chase as well. 4 men looking for the 2 qualifying places for the final.
Uwe's looking, for me, very comfortable. He cornered well there, but he got a little blocked again from Bolshinov.
Sindre Skår still looks fresh, just relaxes into the corner, starts wide, cuts it tight, and comes out fast. That's a great skiing from Skår. Now we see what Bolshinov has got in the closing stages. Is Uwe going to show something? Yes, he is. The Frenchman coming round the outside, gets ahead of the Russian. This could be the end of Bolshinov's journey today. Skår takes the win, and Uwe of France in second place. That's 2 good sprints in succession for Richard Uwe. He was second in Toblach. He's through to the top 6 here in Valmuster. We're getting down to the business end of the sprint. Just time to have a look at the finalists for the men's event. Iversen, Ustiagov, Klæbo, Pellegrino. It is a world-class final. You don't get much better than this. Looking forward to that. And the women's final is going to be close, apart from the winner. Nielsen expected to absolutely storm this one. Demonstration of her power and prowess. She is, of course, the Olympic champion, and taking a little bit of time to get into her stride this season, but she is very much the form sprinter at the moment. She's got a few Norwegians after her, Mike.
She has. She's in very, very good company indeed. And but if she employs similar strategy, it would appear that this could be an easy victory for her. Yes, 3 Norwegians. Isberg getting through as a lucky loser, Falla, and Lotte Udnesveen.
Well, it's important for Isberg to have made the final. She is a contender for the Tour de Ski title this year. Jessie Diggins, likewise, who lies in second place at the moment, will have been delighted that Neprayeva knocked out in the first knockout round. Actually, Mike, it's so tight between Diggins and Isberg that I think whichever one of those 2 comes in first is likely to be the Tour leader. Most likely to be Jessie Diggins at the moment. Belarukova getting knocked out in the last round. So, Lotte Udnesveen has made it. Heidi Weng taken out in her first round heat. Maiken Caspersen Falla, one of the world's best sprinters, had good duels with Nielsen over the last 3 seasons, but it's Nielsen on top at the moment. The #1 sprinter this season, and she's got a good lead, almost 80 points ahead of everyone else. So, Østberg, Diggins, Nielsen, 2, 15 and 1. 4 is Caldwell, 9 is Falla, and Heidi and Weng is not Heidi Weng, Lotte Udnesveen, number 11. And just interested to see if Østberg takes it a little bit slower. Nielsen on the near side, leading that group. Jessie Diggins on the far side. You can see the ponytail thrashing up and down, and that will just get more and more violent as the race goes on. And really, Mike, Caldwell has raced brilliantly today.
She has, and I love the way Caldwell, for me, every time her strategy has been perfect. And again, she's tucked in behind the super sprinter, Nielsen. Good place to be.
Yeah, she's cruising. Nielsen taking that very, very steady up to the top of the climb.
It hasn't gone ballistic at all yet. It's fairly pedestrian. And I think Jess Diggins, just seeing her on the start line, she's got all her cheer and enjoyment of racing back, and that's a big factor.
It's 3 seconds slower than the first semi-final. This is going to turn into a tactical race. We can expect a time of 1:19.120 over the first of the camel humps, but it's not about finishing in the top 2. This is about finishing in top spot and taking maximum bonus seconds, 60 bonus seconds. Obviously 50 World Cup points on offer for the win today, which will be handy, certainly, for those in a good position. Johaug, the overall leader. Usberg closing down on her as Johaug not competing in the Tour de Ski.
This is good news for America. The second and third at the moment, and Jess Diggins, she's like a limpet. She's not at the moment letting Nielsen out of her sight, hunting her.
Nielsen will not go until she gets within 10 meters of the base of the big climb, maybe a fraction earlier than that. That you'll see the change in pace from Nielsen. The tempo will rise, and you watch the body drop down through those poles as she generates some power. She's extending slowly, 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 and then when she starts that turn to the left, she will show herself to be in a class of her own.
Usberg, bib number 2, the first of the Norwegians. The 3 Norwegians have looked tired at the back there, but there's still a chance to come through, a slim chance.
And here we go. Expect to see that gap at the front increased. She walked up it last time. This time, Nielsen shows her class. 5 meters clear at the top. By the time the rest get over the apex, she's going to be 15 meters clear. America 2 and 3. Usberg in 4 for Norway. Just behind her, wearing number 9, that's Faller. Now, it's so important for the Norwegians, Mike, or particularly for Usberg, to try and get in front of Jessie Diggins.
And at the moment, Usberg, she knew she couldn't win this one. She just wants a second or a third, and she's hunting nicely there to set that up. But, well, Caldwell's looking strong. Jess is looking strong ahead of her.
And not only that, Mike, I think the Americans actually ski the corners and the downhills better than the Norwegians do. You watch the Americans on this final left-hand bend as they come into the home straight. They're likely to extend their lead over the Norwegians. Usberg is going to have to fight if she wants to beat Jessie Diggins. All about getting the lead in the Tour de Ski as they go into phase 4. Oberstdorf hosting the next 2 rounds. We move there tomorrow. Stina Nielsen, class of her own, as we've seen time and time again this season. She gets to walk down home straight. Fantastic stuff. A battle between Caldwell and Diggins. Caldwell at the moment with a fraction of a lead, and a good lunge from Caldwell, but a photo finish for second and third. Usberg gets 4, so if there is a change in the lead of the Tour de Ski, it's going to be Jess Diggins who goes ahead of Nepraeva, who was leading coming in today.
So impressed with the American team. Second and third, well, don't know which one's second, which one's third, but they'll both be delighted. So will all of the American team be delighted with that. But yes, Stina Nielsen, hey, that's her up to 15 wins in sprint racing, only ahead of her Faller with 16, Bente Skari, the great names, with 17, Majdic with 20, and of course Björgen with 40.
With a few more. Yeah, that's going to be...
So she really is lifting herself into the huge names of sprinting in cross-country skiing.
Very, very easy. And the significance of that, Mike, and I have a feeling that
that's a draw.
Nielsen is going to pull out. Have they given it a draw?
Well, they haven't given it.
It does not get much closer than that.
I think they have to call that equal second.
Caldwell was travelling the faster coming into the finish, but Jessie Diggins got the lunge absolutely right. Sounds as if they've been given second equal, which is...
even better.
Yeah, great news in terms of the Americans. Good news for the Americans in the fact that Diggins isn't going to lose bonus seconds to Caldwell coming through to take second place on her own.
Still haven't seen the official results come up.
What do they take it down to? 100th of a second?
1/100. Yep.
With Nielsen on the podium at each of the sprints, her flossing is going to be pretty good. Diggins has got that smile back on her face, and she's got herself back on the podium. But only one athlete really learned how to race here in Valmuster, Stina Nielsen. Very, very conservative on the first lap, but her conservative is everyone else is flat out. That's the advantage she's got.
She stepped up a gear from last season where she was equally fantastic in sprinting, but now she's head and shoulders above everybody else. No threat at all. Most of the rest struggled on this climb. Who wouldn't with tired legs?
What do you think's happened to Faller?
Faller, I think the fact the last 4 years have gone so well, so intense with her sprinting, she's just lost her way. Maybe needs a break from it, and maybe needs to just switch the training a little, because it's just brought her to Fatigue, please, I think. Fatigue as the heats go on, from the qualifying to the heats to the semis, he just looks more and more fatigued. More so than the rest. Well, the Americans have been given a draw, Patrick, and of course, when it's a draw, it's listed as the lowest bib number, and then, so that's Sophie Caldwell, the bib number 4, Jess Diggins, bib number 15. So, but it's a draw, they're equally second.
Well, that's not bad after 4 rounds of one of the toughest sprint courses in the world.
Well, the thing now is, will Stina Nielsen, with another victory here, will she think of continuing to the end of the Tour de Ski? She said she'd pull out after, I think, 4 races it was. So only tomorrow was planned to be our last day.
For the women tomorrow, a 10-kilometre mass start. Here's the winner.
Quite a long time since the last time a female athlete has won both sprint races in the Tour de Ski. Congratulations. How was the track?
Thank you. The tracks here suits me even better in Toblach because I like long and hard sprints, and especially on high altitude. So this track and the steep uphill was perfect for me.
And how is it in the heat then, when you have multiple other athletes which are very close to you?
Yeah, I really like those situations where you have to think during so much lactate in the legs. That's what makes sprint so fun.
Yeah, and you're the queen of sprint. Congratulations.
Yeah, for now. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Smart words.
Well, it has been a long time since an athlete has taken 2 stages. It was way back in 2011, Petra Majdic.
So 1 race to go, and this promises to be electric. We've got the best of the Russians, the best of the Norwegians, and the best of the Italians. Sergei Ustiakov. Is he going to get his second win here in Valmuster, having beaten Federico Pellegrino 2 years ago? Maybe he feels he can do it. And don't forget Richard Uve. He's done nothing wrong so far. Racing for France, came through his semi-final without too much trouble. There's the trophy they're racing for, but it is all about points and bonus seconds in the Tour de Ski. For Federico, it's all about getting another sprint win, Mike.
He wants it. He wants it badly. He's again, he's reaching the heights of the huge names of sprinting in history. Hadestad ahead of him, and Emil Jonsson still ahead of him in terms of wins. Emil Jonsson had 17. But Klæbo, what strategy? I'm not sure this is going to be fast from the start. I don't think anybody will really want to take it out fast from the start. We'll have to wait and see. It's a brave man that'll adopt that strategy. But with 3 Norwegians, maybe they can work together. 3 Norwegians in this final. Pellegrino will be desperately wanting this victory, as you say, but then they all will be.
The last sprint in the Tour de Ski for this season. We still have 4 stages to go after today. Oberstdorf on the 2nd and 3rd, and then Val di Fiemme on the 5th and 6th. Sergei Ustiakov, the winner of the 15-kilometre in Toblach 2 days ago. Emil Iversen, he's looked pretty convincing, but he's had to work hard to get this far. Uwe, you like what you saw last time?
I did. He raced it clever and saved something for the very end.
Sindre Bjornstad's score, a phenomenal burst on the 2nd lap of his semi-final, saw him through. Can he do it again? If he can, he might be a match for this man. Klæbo, the favourite, the fastest qualifier, and he is looking to make it 2 sprints out of 2 in the Tour de Ski for this year. Pellegrino will be giving it everything to stop the Norwegian. Those two have a great rivalry, and they start side by side. So from the left, Ustiakov, Iversen, Uwe, score, Klæbo, Pellegrino.
Well, what a race this is going to be. Who's going to take it out? Who's going to set the pace? Maybe Ustiakov setting the pace. Baldov yellow carded for an obstruction into the home straight last time.
Well, Ustiakov paying no respect to last year's sprint champion, Klæbo, who's forced down into second and has to go wide on the first climb. Klæbo actually likes to get out front and then slow it down, Mike. Just control the race. And 9 times out of 10, the rest in the field will respect him and just sit in behind him.
Well, I felt that's what Ustiakov was trying to do there. He thought, let's just keep that. I think it plays into Ustiakov's advantage to keep it as slow as possible. And that's what he's doing right now. Still fast, though.
The fastest semi-final went round this big left-hand turn at 55 seconds. Ustiakov stands tall just to control the speed.
They're shouting.
And it's still reasonably fast. Everson right at the back, and the fact that he wasn't looking particularly comfortable might be an indication that his legs are already suffering on this final run.
Yes, normally you see Everson with intent. He'd be further up if he was serious about this, but it is going to change tempo very quickly after the bend up into the second lap.
Ustiakov second in the Tour standings, and a win here will put him ahead of Bolshinov, who was leading coming into today. Klæbo only 10 seconds off the lead in the Tour de Ski, so he could be the Tour leader after today if Ustiakov should trip up on this final lap. Now Klæbo starts to just increase the stride. Still, we haven't seen that massive injection of speed that he and few others are capable of. It's come from Ustiakov, so powerful. But will he be able to keep this pace going over the second part of the climb?
He won here 2 years ago, but Patrick, for me, he's not quite as dynamic this time around, but he's taking all the hard work at the front.
Is it going to be 2 wins in succession for Ustiakov? He's already won the Tour de Ski, remember, 2 years ago. And now Klæbo starts to move. Who's got the quicker climb? The Norwegian, the youngster, without a doubt, faster up that climb, and his lead has gone to 5 meters in the space of no time. Pellegrino trying to go with him, obstructs Ustiakov as he goes round that left-hander, and that might be the end of the Russians' chances.
I think it is. Pellegrino knows that to survive this, to have a chance of winning, he has to get a little closer at the moment to Klæbo. Unlikely on this section.
When he has beaten Klæbo, he's come into the home straight just on his tail, Mike. So Klæbo will know that the Italian is dangerous if he's still in contention with 100 meters to go, and it looks as though it may well turn out that way. Klæbo free skates into the camel humps, tries to gain a little advantage there. He's now extended his lead to 7-8 meters, maybe a little bit more, and there's a big gap between second and third. Ustiakov certainly won't be standing on the top of the podium today.
You just feel that Pellegrino, with that look back, he's happy with second. He knows that first place is out of reach at the moment.
And Pellegrino knows that first place is out of reach as well, because Klæbo with a devastating burst down the last 150. Another World Cup win for the Norwegian, 3:03.8. His qualifying time today, 3:04.69. He saved his best till last. He's taken his second successive sprint win in the Tour de Ski, and that might just be good enough to put him into top spot.
Ustiakov, for me, was caught sleeping. He thought he was safely in third. He looked around, there was no one there. Then all of a sudden, the train that was Juve came hurtling past, and I think that he just got him on the line. What a finish. That was the best finish we've seen from Juve.
Well, by my calculation, Mike, Klæbo is now the leader of the Tour de Ski. 60 bonus seconds for his efforts today, added to the fact that he produced a devastatingly fast qualifying time of 3:04. And if we look at Bolshinov's time, that was 3:12. Ustiakov's time was 3:08. So I don't have much doubt that Klæbo is the new owner of the blue bib, the leader of the Tour de Ski.
Oh, I said it was Juve. It's probably not. It's maybe still survives as Ustiakov. It does by 1/100th of a second.
So Ustiakov gets 4, so he only gets 46 bonus seconds, which means he gives away 20 seconds in all to Klæbo, and he was only 4 seconds ahead of him at the start of the day. And Bolshinov was only 10 seconds clear, so a definite change in ownership of the Tour de Ski's bib. Now, will Klæbo go all the way, Mike? He's not the sort of man that would look forward to the Alpe d'Huez.
I don't think so. I don't think that would be a tough day for him. It's 9 kilometers, 4 kilometers up an alpine descent from bottom to top. But maybe the Norwegian team will work around and help protect Klæbo, especially in the mass start coming up tomorrow, the classic race. And, you know, and then there are bonus seconds to be picked up along the way tomorrow. He buys himself a minute into the last day. He may well survive.
Well, you've got to give it to Ustiakov. He tried, Mike. He wanted to dominate and dictate rather than Klæbo. And for the first half of the first lap, that is exactly what he did.
Skar was not at the races. He just, when he burned, his candles went out. They just went out full time, and he finished 43 seconds behind.
Yeah, but his semi-final was brilliant.
It was. And maybe that accounts when you put in a burst like that. This is, look at the comparison there. Ustiakov, the deeper snow on the inside. He got a little trip. They got a little close to each other there, and that put Ustiakov off. Pellegrino took the advantage going wide and passes Ustiakov at the top of this rise.
Yeah, Ustiakov's skis stalling on just about every stride up that climb. Klæbo kept his gliding nicely, and that makes the recovery of the ski so much easier. Another great demonstration. Klæbo, who had a troubled start to the season. The domination that we saw at the start of last year just wasn't there. He made some silly mistakes. You know, overconfidence probably playing a part. He was a little bit complacent up in Ruka. He's wise now, and I think, you know, they always say you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. I think he has done so.
I think so. It grounded him and thought, well, this is serious. I'm great, but it's still a serious game. And as soon as I saw his hat off in the final, I thought, he really means business this time. Pellegrino, what, second 2 years ago, second again today.
So Klæbo with the win, Pellegrino second, Ustiakov 3.
What's amazed me, Patrick, Klæbo's time is faster than any previous time today, even his fastest time in qualifying, by a second.
Yeah, astonishing. 3:03.78, 2.35 clear of Pellegrino. Ustiakov and Uve in the photo finish. Iversen, who worked hard early on, worked very hard in the first round, so the chances of him coming through were slim. And Skor, who raced lower down. Here is the winner.
It's a very tough track out there. How did your legs hold on?
It was really tough, and I'm very glad Ustiakov did this fast speed at the second lap there, and yeah, it was just trying to push all in, and really happy to be in first.
It's a track with many elements. How do you like that?
I really like it. It's cool to do something else, and yeah, it's a new challenge, so I liked it.
What are your plans now for the further upcoming tour?
Now it's a little bit rest, and then we start over again tomorrow, so then we try again tomorrow. We'll see.
Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So no secrets given away there, Mike, but I'm still not convinced he's going to go all the way. But he's a man who likes to win, and, you know, you don't win the overall globe for nothing, which he did last year, so he is capable of winning the Tour. Well, that's the end of the action from here in Valmustera. I'm hoping we get the Tour standings before we go. I'm pretty sure Klæbo leads the men's, and we'll just have to double check on the women's. There you go. Jessie Diggins is now top, as we thought. Östberg 2, Nepraeva drops from 1 to 3, and Belarukova stays in 4. Ingmar's daughter of Sweden with a fine performance today, but losing a little bit of ground to Jessie Diggins of the United States, who heads the Tour standings. Heidi Weng, last year's champion, Mike, down in 13th, 135 off. Is it over?
It's the door's closing, but not over yet. But 135, huge amount to pull back when she's really not on form. And I do think she injured her wrist when she fell today.
So a great win from Stina Nielsen, and Johannes Husflug Klæbo topping the Tour de Ski standings. 12 seconds now ahead of Ustiakov. Bolchanov dropping from 1 to 3, and Emil Iversen very consistent all the way through. We are now off to Garmisch-Partenkirchen. David Goldstrom with the next round of the Four Hills.